So they'll be calling you a radical. The Dog and Pony show goes on. TEPCO says, yeah, we got footage of grabbing a little piece at Unit 2, 5 milligrams. Now, how many milligrams are in a gram? How many grams are in an ounce? How many ounces in a pound when there's, how many milligrams are in 880 tons? There's 880 tons of melted fuel. Fuck, we're 4,986 days. So I want to talk about the greatest event in human history, Fukushima, nuclear meltdowns. And I want to talk as the activist, the true activist that wins, the true activist, not the, I mix videos, I do videos, I sit up here and talk about something, whatever. It's like in Southern California. You know, I watch these people freaking show up and do panty painter shit at San Onofre forever. I used to just laugh. They're not activists. I don't know. I guess they're bored. You know, maybe they go write a book. I mean, I'll give it to Gary. He jumped in and stole the whistleblower fee of $5 million that belongs to Kevin Blanche. So this leads me into, I want to talk about real activism. Number one, this is real important. This is real important. I absolutely am totally against all violence. I'm against vandalism. I'm against any kind of that. I'm pretty intense. I'm pretty radical like this. I don't believe in violence. I really do not believe it. And the reason I don't believe in violence, it does not work. It perpetuates more violence. Fuck, 9/11 doesn't fuck with that. Well, 10/7, all these fucking issues and activists. So this morning they blew up the co-op building and they advertised they were going to do it. And how come you didn't go? Are you kidding? I can't believe people were lined up around that thing taking videos. I just watched some of them. Do you know how toxic that fucking dust is? That plume over here? If 9/11 didn't prove that to you. So here's the panic. I mean, the left who thinks they're all that. I mean, the right. We can't even do street protests. Remember the 5th of November? That's over. We can't. I mean, Kevin Blanche out in the street, that's where we meet. The good, intense protests. You can't even do protests in the street in the United States of Israel. Why? Donald Trump and his useful idiots took care of that. Fuck. So pitiful. I mean, it's sad what he did. It's destroying it. You know, left, right. Obama, Trump. You tell me the difference between Obama and Trump. There are no difference. With Trump, he's the counterculturist. He'll open the book on Fukushima. He'll want to, fuck. I mean, the first thing he did and jumped right into the mainstream Republican narrative. John Bolton. I mean, he put the same apparatus. I mean, he ran as a cat. Was he? No. And, you know, so I want to talk about activism. You know, speaking of, you know, Jon Stewart took that on, the plume over Lower Manhattan. Oh, my God. How many videos did I do there at the Hole for all those years? All that work I did there forever and ever and ever. You know, Shirtwaist Fire Building, that's it. You know, some fairy tales. So he takes it on. He takes on the troops, went after Afghanistan to kill the Taliban, went after Iraq, but they won't get into the roots of it. Not one time did Jon Stewart, not one time, I mean, because they're in the cult. Don't you see they're in the clique? They got their hundreds of millions of dollars, they're in the clique. They're not rocking that boat because they're zenith of life. Look at me. Not one time did any of these, oh, they'll talk about the burn pits. Oh, they'll talk about, not one time will they talk about depleted uranium being sprayed all over Fallujah, all over their own men. What's depleted uranium? Where does depleted uranium come from? Which came first, the nuclear chicken or the nuclear egg? Nuclear energy reactors. Beau Biden? How about Barry Antoinette, let them eat yellow cake? I'll keep you informed when he just blatantly lied to the American populace, told the third greatest lie in human history. On the lawn at the White House on March 17, 2011, the plume is coming over us right now. Scientists tell us safe, no need to take any precautions. When he full well knew that was a hardcore lie. Now think about it, I got cancer right now. We know the mapping hammered right here in freaking Ogden, Utah. I was working right on the Wasatch right there. We know it hammered. I don't do opinion. My doctor, in the bone marrow transplant center at LDS. Kevin, the summer and the fall of 2011 into 2012, never seen an outbreak like this. That place was so jammed full. Never seen such aggressive, such radical, stronger, faster radical. And I says, well, it's all Fukushima. And he says, I think you're right. You know, he was an anti-nuclear. But they can't talk. HIPAA laws are not to protect patients. HIPAA laws are to protect Earth, poison, and Roundup Monsanto nuclear energy freaking killers. And you go along. He lied. And I could prove that. I don't do opinion. And now, Google, who's attacking Kevin Blanch, viciously, they've been attacked. Kettling my work. How many people's lives have been lost? Now, remember, YouTube, who's viciously attacked Kevin Blanch when they used to call themselves the Great Equalizer. One of the true pioneers of using YouTube, the media, the Great Equalizer for a PhD, for science, for truth. One of the true pioneers being eaten by the very freaking monster we created. They got control of what's the three branches of government in the United States? CIA, NSA, CFR. He lied, and I can prove it. I don't do opinion. I'm a scientist. I'm a biologist. He lied. I can prove it. Cheryl Mills, his aide, emails came out the exact same time through the bell. Remember, it was leaked out, WikiLeaks, and then I'll talk a little bit about this election. Remember, it was leaked out. Cheryl Mills, the plume from Fukushima is coming over us now. It is radioactive. Scientists tell us it's radioactive. Scientists tell us stay inside. If you've been outside, take a shower. Wash your clothes. Take some iodine tablets. Then he's flown to South America. That's called with malice. What's the third greatest? That's the second greatest lie in human history. What's the third greatest? Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. When they full well knew they did. Now remember, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, Operation Foxconn News, one by Jetstream, two by cable TV, KSL right here, 10 hours a day just pounded the war drums of Iraq and Afghanistan. Colin Powell, all the apparatus full well. That's the only thing, I mean, Michael Moore did such brilliant work. Fahrenheit 9/11 should be required to watch every single student in this, every person in this country should be required to watch that masterpiece. That is a masterpiece. I mean, incredible. I mean, his work on GM, master. Now, he got a little green because he jumped into something he doesn't really know about, nuclear energy, and says, works for France, but I'll give him a pass on that. Because of his paramount, incredible work on Fahrenheit 9/11 is beyond a masterpiece. It's truly one of the great documentary films in world history. How come Jon Stewart didn't take on the fact that they sprayed depleted uranium on him? How come he didn't take on the fact that they deployed the troops at the Polygon? Because he doesn't even know what the fucking Polygon is. Here's my point on activism. Here's my point. If you're going to be a true grassroots activist, contemporize is going to do nothing. Zero. It has always been the person that stands up against the tsunami of the contemporized mainstream populace and activist community. You can go clear back to Jesus. Now that was an activist. You think? Whoa. That was one incredible activist. How about, Semmelweis, the activist doctor who wash your hands thing. How about Michelangelo standing up to the hierarchy of the freaking hypocrite church? Ho, 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 ho. That was an artist activist. I mean, these people stood up. They were so alone, so individual. What's that great quote? I think, was it Golda Meir said it? One of them did. Margaret Mead, I think it was Margaret Mead. Never in the history of mankind as a big group of masses and organized protesting group ever accomplish anything. It's always small, teeny citizen activists. I go back to her in Oklahoma that shut down the nuclear reactor. One person. I go back to Frieda Meisenblatt in Austria. I was at her house on the 200th anniversary. On her request. She was worried about her English, she told Provad. I sat in her apartment on the 200th anniversary of Waterloo, and in perfectly good English, she grilled me for 4 hours. I remember when we walked out, Provad went, oh, I can't believe that lecture she just gave you. She started out, she says, thank you for coming, Kevin. Your beautiful, elegant place. First question I got, I know your path. I know your father's path. I've watched so many of your videos. You do know you're it. She was passing the sword, the spear. She was passing the torch. This is one the reason there's no nuclear energy in Austria is one person. Frieda Meisenblatt. One. I mean, she used to go into, the elementary school. You go in there, I remember being in Austria, and these young woman, I saw your picture on YouTube. I used to watch your videos. She come up to me and she says, remember, I live in the United States. She's like, I saw you post that picture with Frieda. She says, I remember being in kindergarten. Frieda came to my school and talked. And she would tell, this is how she said it. She'd come to my mom and dad's house. She'd go door to door and knock and said, hey, my parents were farmers, and very different over there farming than this poison we have. You go look at their farms, they're so clean and pristine. And she told my dad, she says, would you go for an industry, for instance, your animals, your waste? Over there, they handle animal waste in a very different way than we do. They don't go spread it on your fields and allow them to milk the cows 4 times and have every kind of chemical in the world in it and then spread it on your soil and then grow the vegetables, grow the food that you eat. Oh, hell no. She says to my dad, would you go for your farm if you had no answer for the waste? It won't stop. I can tell you that. I mean, here it goes, and it's all Radio Gaga. Spam likely 90% of it. Yeah, there's another sham of this country. So, Kevin, she says to me, gotta get my good Vienna hat on. Kevin, first question for you. Yeah. How much energy does a nuclear energy reactor produce? And I says, in many cases, negative. They have to import energy from other sources in order to cool their spent fuel pools, in order to, because it's all stored on site, in order to warm their, so the spent fuels can't freeze. They got to stay a certain temperature on the stored on site. And so I says, many cases they produce negative. I knew you would know. You know, and by herself, so lonely. She rose up to power, became the head of the Green Party. I mean, talk about a powerful person. Grassroots. That's what it has to be. This contemporary, I'm spending, and if you're contemporized on YouTube now, we know they circled the wagons a long time ago. If you're not smashed down, you're not effective. Because who has got control of, now this is important, trying to save YouTube from YouTube. Think about this. The CEO of YouTube just died of cancer at 58 years old. Isn't that a wake-up to you people? The Supreme Court rules against YouTube and Google for violating people's First Amendment rights. Just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean the First Amendment has been so radically abused by social media, all of them. And by the way, I mean, I really get into Twitter. Remember in 2011, I was doing financial videos and telling you to go all in Tesla. Elon Musk did not have anything to do with Tesla. Those two guys that started, I talked to them. I mean, I was all into what they were doing. Well, isn't that how it works? I had 30,000 shares of Tesla when it IPO. Play back the tape, Your Honor. You know what it'd be worth today? Even hundreds of millions of dollars. I had you going all in Apple, doing finance, right? But I got cancer. One of the only times in my life I was uninsured. I've been so abused. I got leukemia in 2011. You think because Barack Obama lied to me. Everybody lied. You know, and I knew, but I didn't know exactly where the mapping was coming. And I mean, I was not ready for the fall, I could tell you that. I mean, when a good doctor looks you right in the eyes, in the prime of your life, and I was a beast. I mean, a beast. This happy, strong, passionate, freaking fighting the nuclear cartel life. I'm on radio shows everywhere. I'm freaking got the entire field. These are full blown out meltdowns. These are full. They're lying. And he looks at you and he says, Kevin, an oncologist. Well, you should get your affairs in order. This is radical and this is aggressive. I think this is in October 2011. Most likely you'll be dead by Christmas. Because I told him, don't you fucking lie to me. Next doctor. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe 6 weeks. This is radical. This is aggressive. After the misdiagnosed missing. Fimbo Peterson, Vincent Hansen, those Danish doctors, you know, Vincent saves my life. You know me since I was a boy. They want to gut me. They want to do all this and I refuse. And they go in me. They bone marrow I in my lay you on your hip, dig through your bone, fish it out. Oh, you're awake when it's brutal. It's the pain of that. Oh, yeah, that's brutal. But it's not the leukemia pain. Leukemia pain is brutal. On the wall in each state LDS, they have level of pain, 1 to 10. Then they go up above 10. They got person screaming like this is leukemia pain. Whoa, it's incredible. I mean, so bad that sometimes they had to put you on propofol. When you're on propofol, you have to sit there. 2 nurses because you quit breathing. I mean, so radical, so intense when morphine won't even touch you. That's what it's like in those units. It's brutal. Waiting for the results? Oh, fuck, you don't know. Anxiety on Balco, on chemo, literally. So as an activist, you have to have some kind of path. You know, my father nuked in the Nevada test site. I held his hand as he died. Annika, my partner, her and I did so much great work, especially in the Nevada test site, from Ukraine, so incredible. I held her hand as she died of this disease. And then the doctor, what am I supposed to do? Just lay down? No, here's the thing with the activists. Number one, you have to have balls, you have to have guts, you have to have confidence. But in order to have confidence, you have to know your subject matter inside and out. There's the problem. You can't be Joe Rogan. I know a little bit about a lot. Those guys are so asymmetric to anything good. This is a hard fight. This is a intense. People pile on to me. We're going to join in with you. I look back on all those people. Regular supposed to. What were they up to? Surely not anti-nuclear activists. They're trying to use me, abuse me. I think a lot of them were paid. Well, I know they were. I mean, I've dug into it now. Still my radio show. Good for you. Good for you. Because guess what? You got on the team. You got your merit badge. What did it do for you? You know, so this is the greatest catastrophe in human history, the greatest crime, the cover-up. So let's talk a little bit of politics. So, of course, the big election. Let's go back to 2016. Now, I don't think people remember too much about 2016. Trump gets the nominee, Hillary. Now, how Hillary got the nominee is beyond me because everybody wanted either Liz. And the fact that Trump's still calling her Pocahontas such a racial slur, such disgusting. Everybody wanted Liz Warren or Bernie. How did she get the nominee? Now, that's all come out. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I mean, the DNC. I mean, just Google it. Oh, yeah. But anyway, Hillary becomes the nominee. People hated Hillary. Democrats hated Hillary. Let's get real and just remember the October surprise that year was what? Oh, her leaked emails. Off her server. What? Now, why would he? Trump grab him by the electoral college is so ridiculous and so pathetic. Well, what isn't in this country? You know, GMOs fucking poison your fucking own populace. Fucking no country, in civilized country in the world does any of this. These European oligarchs have been fighting over this land for 500 years. The voter turnout was so low. So it really comes down to a couple hundred rednecks in freaking Pennsylvania, the entire fucking vote. For real. For real. I mean, which is pitiful. Remember, the unions come out right before the election and told their people, don't you dare vote for Hillary. I wonder why. I mean, Hillary Clinton? Really? That's the only reason. Who put Trump in the White House? Hillary Clinton. I was at the White House that night when the upset happened. One of the most eerie things in my life. Remember, I had my Russian hat on, and because there was rumors flying. I knew. I mean, come on. I'm so heavily involved with Anonymous. I know everything, especially in those days. You know, I knew everything before it ever happens. Play back the tape, Your Honor. I'm like, the Russians have occupied the White House. They will never leave. That's before the election. So Trump pulls off the upset. That night was so eerie, so unbelievable there. She had a stage set up, and they slowly clear out. They could see they're going to lose. And at the White House, I'm at the peace vigil there. It was so freaking creepy right there. There wasn't very many people there once it happened, and this chant started to go eerie. It was so quiet you could literally hear the rats. And I'm not talking politicians or lobbyists. I'm talking literally. I mean, DC's low. And you could hear it. And this two kids had this sign. I got pictures of it. I found it, but I can't put them on ScrewTube because they're pretty violent. It's quite thin. There's two young men, and they're walking around with this sign, and it's got, you know, Bernie, and I mean, it's really inappropriate as it gets. And they start to chant, "You fucked Bernie." That went for hours. You fuck Bernie. And probably gathered maybe 100 people gathered, and that's all you heard, the chanting. And so about 3:30 in the morning, I go get on the bus, which I always do, to go into New York City. And because all the workers in D.C. that work in New York City daily, that's when they get, you can ride that bus. There's dozens and dozens of bursts that go out of the Union there. So I get on the tube, if Foggy Bottom's there, and I go in there, and I get on the blue line to get to the station, which the subway's cooler than shit in D.C. If you've ever been in the subway, it's really amazing. Of course, it's late all the time, but it's incredible. So I get on it, and the blue line, there's just me and this young woman, and she's sitting right up front, and she's got her Hillary Clinton hat on, and she's just sobbing, and she's just crying. And I look above her. I got a really great photo. And at the top line, it says blue, and it's in pink. James Carville. Pink. James Carville destroyed the Democratic Party. Now, will this change? Because the way she became the nominee wasn't through the corrupt DNC. I mean, the DNC, I thought Bernie. I mean, I think, well, there's no question in my mind. Both election cycles, Bernie wanted. If Bernie would have been the nominee, he'd still be president. You know, and there's no doubt in my mind. So that didn't happen this time, did it? I mean, so it's really a dichotomy. So let's talk about, so we're going to get our first female president in history. I think so. Now, I have a serious connection, tomato, with Kamala Harris, her mom. Kamala Harris's mother did what I did, except for she worked for someone. Research PhD, you know. Her mom, now remember, her mom and dad met at Berkeley at a rally. Yeah. Dr. Harris, the Jamaican economist, really famous economist. I mean, they met while at Berkeley. Her mom from India, who went to work, she's studying nutrition, and we call it nuclear medicine. Because nuclear, what is the word? Nuclear comes derived from the word Now we think nuclear bomb, we think it comes from the nucleus of an atom. So she's studying the link between nutrition and at the core into your cell structure for health. That's what she's, she's somewhat of an epidemiologist, cancer research PhD. She goes, hailed out of Berkeley. And if you don't believe this is true, you go ask Natal Khan. Natal Khan mentioned me on his show a couple times. He went to Berkeley, the nuclear lab, the Lawrence Lab, and he says, well, when I graduated, they didn't ask me where I was working. They told me. And he says, it got pretty intense. They were threatening me because they said, no, you're going to work at, the lab, Lawrence Livermore Lab. Whoa. I know Lawrence's grandson personally. He says, you think I'm intense in those hearings? Oh, his own grandson. Holy shit. That dude, whoa, he just rips his own grandfather. Calls him the looter, just, whew. So she goes to work there. Her mother, who was absolutely incredible person. I look back on her story and her path. Now, this isn't her. I'm talking about her mom. Oh, I consider her one of the modern day Rachel Carsons. So she goes to work at liver as the epidemiologist, the cancer. She's studying the links between breast cancer and at the neutron level via nuclear fallout, it's the pseudo de facto position of Lawrence, and telling her to tote the line. That's what they do. They take these brilliant ones and they capture, and then they try to, so you can create the fake narrative, but she wouldn't play. She got cancer. She got colon cancer. She wasn't that old. So remember, Harris became the AG in California when? January of 2011. What? Then Fukushima happened. You don't think she knows all about it? Well, I can tell you she does, and I'll tell you why. I get cancer in 2011. I'm in the bone marrow transplant. I've got the entire field on Fukushima. You can't tell me every politician, anybody out there is anybody who hasn't watched my videos, especially or listened to me on my radio shows. I was everywhere. Because I called out Fukushima and people knew that I knew. They knew that I knew. So she becomes the AG. In 2012, the accident, I'm all over it. Here it is. This is the goods. They made a book to indict themselves. I know all these guys. This is when they're cheating on the exchange. It was time for San Onofre to get a new exchange on their generator. They cost, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars. They cheated between a Hitachi and a Mitsubishi. They went to the cheaper reactor and didn't tell anybody. The public commission, PV, who was head of the public, who told me to go fuck myself in public, told a lot of people to go fuck themselves in public. She raided his house. Who? Kamala Harris. What? Yeah, she went after him fiercely. She's only made a couple statements on nuclear energy when she did, but one of them she uses the word San Onofre. On the shutdown in San Onofre, they had no intention to shut down. Absolutely no. I've got cancer. I'm in the ball. I'm leaking to the California AG's office, everything. I've got all the goods. My anonymous arm, we got all the goods. We know all this corruption from these guys. These guys are still in hiding. Most of these guys that work there are ex-Marines. My father, the San Onofre Marine. I was literally conceived right there. Those guys all know me. I've been fighting that piece of shit, crooked monster forever. I'm leaking all these freaking... They're cheating on the exchange. They came in through ocean on the ship where they're supposed to bring it in on the freeway. Snuck it in so nobody would see it. They're telling me, Kevin, they're cheating on the exchange, blah, blah, blah. So they had what they call a steam malfunction. This started to happen in 2011 of all times. And then, of course, on June 30th, 31st, 2011, 2012, I'm so sick, I'm dying of cancer, going out of the bone marrow transplant center. They have what they call a steam malfunction. What happened? Because they're cheating on that. Now, Mitch at Channel 11 did so much great work. He went over there and fought it, got it onto the news. That guy, talk about, deserves a Pulitzer Prize. So he needs, for journalism, talk about guts. I love that guy, what he did. So they're cheating. Somebody leaks videos out. I'm sending everything and anything I get to the California AG. I'm putting it right on. I remember they came to me and they says, Kevin, they'll tell you right now they're afraid of the nuclear energy crime city. They won't even disclose their names, who these people were, because they're afraid they'll kill. I mean, the Karen Silkwood scenario is very real. It takes a lot of guts to take on these ones. I'm in a bone marrow transplant center dying of cancer. I'm probably going to die. It looks like I'm going to die. What do I got to fucking lose? Nothing. I don't give a fuck. You know, the brass tell me I can't do videos other than my doctor's like, no, you're good. He stood up to the brass. He says, no, you leave him alone. Now they encourage it. Marshall Jensen in the room next to me, the most famous leukemia patient in American history. Me and him, very close friends. They call it the atom bomb disease in Japan. I get a hold of paper crane, Sudoku. You think that's all coincidence? I'm the keynote speaker at every seminar. You think that just happens? That takes years of hard work and credibility and guts. That's my point. You can't just, I mean, this takes my San Onofre Marine father who's a genius. Incredible dude. Kevin, shut the fuck up, boy, and get to work. You're way too pretty to have an opinion. I knew what the fuck you meant. I was not born with these scars across my face. It took years of living in this violent fucking place. So, Harris goes after him. I remember being with Kathy Iwani, who's really paramount in the shutdown in San Onofre, because she was in Japan, watching all my videos, freaking blah, blah, blah. She comes home. She's a school teacher in San Clemente. That in the California law, grassrooters, the old California Abalone Coalition, and these people that fought these guys for so long, that we got that into law, that the schools had a vote on the restart it. She politicked 3-2, I believe it ended up, on the 5 thing. It was her politic, and they said no. They were not going to shut San Onofre. No way. They were afraid of Kevin White because they knew I had the goods. They knew Harris, the AG, had the goods. They knew Harris's mother had recently passed away of leukemia. She was wounded. I think her mom was 69. 60, the new 90. She was intense. They were afraid. Everybody's betting me. All lifetime long activists that are down there, so many people, including the great Gene Stone. You know, he's like, no, I can't. I says, the first shirt, the one was like that, that's right out of the box. I have the first one. I mean, I'm so sick, I'm dying. Sneak into San Onofre with the fake union workers, me and Johnny Ray expose it. I'm in massive critical condition. I'm so sick right there in them hearings. You know, the thing. I've got the field. You go talk to anybody at the NRC. You go talk to Alison McFarland herself. You go talk to anybody. They'll say, oh, no, Kevin Blanche. Go talk to him. I'm the first guy up on the canister hearings. I'm the first one. There's a reason I'm the first one. They know. They knew I had the goods. They were afraid of jail, and they're not public utilities, even though we have a California. Every state has their commissions. I mean, Sam in Ohio committed suicide because he was going to go to prison. They all should have. She raids a house and finds goods. They're chopping up the goods in Warsaw, Poland, of all places. What? Gary sneaks in because there's a whistleblower fee in California. He's an attorney. They go in there and they cut a deal. He makes $5 million and he calls himself a guy. When I'm the grassroots and I didn't get anything, I got slandered. I got vicious. What a feather! What a feather am I? For them to be so afraid of me. Because, and I don't believe in violence. They do. They've attacked me. When they can hire teams of trolls, which they did, and YouTube allows it. Kevin D. Blanche. Multiple YouTube sites, multiple Facebook pages, multiple Reddit feeds. I knew Armed Source Pro. Reddit sure don't get it. With my name on, to viciously call me everything in the book, slander me while I'm in critical condition. That's a 1% survival bracelet. The type of cancer I have, ML de novo with a marker 44, absolutely unsurvivable. Vincent, Kev, I would never recommend you. I'm going to the Mayo Clinic, I told him. I got enough money. I got that money in the stock market. No, you're not. You're going to LDSC State. He says, it's under construction. I says, that piece of shit's been under construction since I was a kid. No, there's a guy named Fimbo Peters from Denmark. He's world. He's the best. I already talked to him about you. I talked to him about you and your anti-nukers. They're both anti-nukers, but they can't fierce anti-nukers. No, we can't lose you. And you're a candidate for this new type of treatment that he does. And they used the ARCM squared chemo radically on me, 3 rounds when they wanted 5, and my body couldn't take it anymore. and I was dying. So I walked the entire coast of California with a sleep bag, most of the time without a camera. I have a stack of library cards that thick in my wallet from coastal California libraries. I'd be standing outside of a coast, using an iPad, using whatever, trying to get a hard drive. I could write a whole book on just coastal California public libraries. Fuck talk, no money, no support, no nothing. I mean, the videos that I did get up, which I didn't get that many because I had a little flip camera and I have to plug it into a hard drive. I couldn't get to a hard drive most of the time, let alone having enough water. I mean, I don't know how I didn't die out there, and I think everybody thought I would, including my doctors. I'm like, what a good place to die. The path is intense. It's lonely. To be a true effective act, which I am. My accomplishments as the grassroots activist are so fucking long. I mean, incredible. I'm the guy that put the dagger to Blue Castle on the Green. That doggone point. I had New Skill, all the work I've done on New Skill, exposing that life from day one. And everybody wants to junk on the SMR freaking contemporary life. I've been on that from day fucking one, exposed all of that. I mean, I've accomplished this is just the ones you know about. I mean, I could go on and on and on stuff that I've done in my own community, internationally. I'm the activist that wins because I've worked my whole life at educating myself and knowing the subject matter. You cannot speak at a hearing or have a confidence to do what I do unless you really A to Z know the subject matter inside and out. I don't eat, sleep, drink it. I sleep with it, literally. For them to attack me and slander me for what Google and YouTube is allowed to happen, they've attacked. I'm pretty sure they caused my heart attack. They were going after my sites in the middle of the night, freaking just saying, trying to take my entire body of work down. And that's when I had kicked off Medicaid by Mike Lee after I forked over while I'm in the unit. I was due to have surgery 2 days on my gallbladder. The chemo took out my gall. They wouldn't do it. It ruptured on me, almost killed me. Why would he do such a thing when he tells me to is my face? My dad was a down one. The only person on the planet who's asked these United States bootlicker politicians, every single one of them about Fukushima. You're looking at him. I asked Trump from here to there. Harris? Oh, she knows. She's right there. She's made a couple statements about nuclear energy. She used the word Sinanofre on her own Facebook page. But the two issues, Trump, you going to open the book on Fukushima? If Trump would have opened the book of Fukushima and did everything that he said he was going to do in 2016, he'd still be president, wouldn't he? But he didn't. He got right in line with the same people he said he was running against. Did he? And he's got the nerve to say Fukushima on Joe Rogan now. When he was president for 4 years, never met you. He met with a bee 17 times. I go through the middle of the night, get to right where Hillary's going to break out the glass ceiling. That's where right as the sun is eerie as hell. The bell's going up. The homeless are lined up around the church. I walk over to Fifth Avenue. It's like, whoa, I get a phone call. Guess who's coming to see Trump right now? Who? Right now? Abby. What? He met with him 17 times, including as soon as he's inaugurated at the Mar-a-Lago and blacks out the windows. Wouldn't let no press in. What do you think they're talking about, their golf game? It's all Fukushima, I'm here to tell you. Aaron Swartz was all about Fukushima. He downloads a server. He gets 35 years for a non-violent crime. He's downloading a server. I've held the server brick in my hand. In Manhattan, Aaron Swartz's friends, one of the most autistic people, geniuses I've ever. I mean, this is an autistic kid who's living in a freaking, $25,000 a month apartment in downtown Manhattan. This kid nobody can communicate with him, whatever. He comes from an oligarchy family. He's Kevin. I'm the only one that can communicate with him because he can hardly even, he was a genius. Here's the brick from Aaron Swartz, what he downloaded at MIT. I've deciphered it. I broke the code. I want you to have it. I'm like, are you kidding me? You think I'm getting on an airplane with that? They'll put me under the prison. They'll put me in the cell next to Jillian. It's like, no, thank you. Truth. The new hate speech? No. Truth has always been considered hate speech. One guy in Vienna, Austria, and me and Frida talked about this. I did those great videos right there where that dirtbag Hitler declared Austria his when Germany marched in at the palace, which that place is so beautiful, so incredible. I'm doing that interview with that other great activist, and the rainbow appears over the top. That should have millions. So when he's giving that speech, they're all got the salute up there. One guy's like this. One guy. His name was Augusta Landmeister. One guy. One guy. You go to Vienna, and everybody says, "Oh, that's my grandfather." That's what. Frida grew up in the same town as Hitler. He tried to get her. She said she had to crawl through the woods. She was young, and she slept in the woods for a while and had to secretly. She got out to England through this channel she dug for. I mean, what a fucking story! It's incredible. Kevin, I went to the United States, and all these people. What's her name? That thinks that she writes all the books. And I met her. She's not an anti-nuclear. And I said, "Oh, you mean Helen?" Yeah. She told me I couldn't use the F word. I told her at her symposium earlier that same year. I'm a butcher, what's a cow? I'm a baker, what's a cake? I'm an anti-nuclear, what's Fukushima? If you're not using the word Fukushima, Fukushima, Fukushima in every interview, everything you ever do, and you claim you're a freaking environmentalist or anti-nuclear activist or a human rights activist, you're a fucking fraud. It's the mother of all. But you can't handle the truth. You don't, too uncomfortable, and you think you're going to rock the boat? Well, you better rock the boat. And like I said, you cannot do it violently. In fact, that's the opposite what you should do. It should be about peace and love, but intense. The truth has to be told. The truth is the fucking truth. Was I right? I want to ask everybody. These are full blown out meltdowns. They're going to circle the fucking wagons. They're going to fucking do every dirty trick in the world to lie to you. I'm on hundreds of radio. I got millions of fucking views. Millions of people following me. Probably hundreds of millions all over the world. I'm everywhere on every radio show there ever was. Was I right? It's going to freaking put this heat short. The tide pools will go first. Was I right? It's going to cause a starvation there. Was I right? It's going to cause a heat double over the fucking Western United States. Fucking look it all up. We don't do mystified, baffled, stumped, curious. I'm a biologist. We do what we can prove. Fucking, we have fucking all the data now. We can run regression out. We know unarguably there was a fucking greatest outlier in human history happened in 2011. We know that in the Pacific Ocean. Well, what was it? Meteor hit? Volcano? No. Full-blown out meltdowns, and we're afraid of nuclear balance. We're afraid of all these anti-nuclears were around forever. That was their holy grail. We're going to get this major nuclear disaster. We're going to get this major nuclear disaster. Fucking. But when it happens, you're afraid of nuclear meltdowns. You're afraid until they happen, and then it's too uncomfortable. It's like when we start talking about native culture. I remember growing up here as a boy, right here on the outland of the marsh. I'm like telling my grandma, telling my second grade teacher, T.O. Smith's wife, what are these things? I see them down there. Oh, they're muskrat dens. I says, no. And she says, no, those are wigwams, Kevin. Those are people's houses. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I learned very young that the Shoshone lived here for thousands and thousands of years, and we kicked them off their lands. I knew. But you have that conversation to this day. Hey, right here where we live, everywhere where we live across the United States, this doesn't belong to us. It didn't. They won't have that conversation. They'll look away. They'll turn their head. Or that's what Fukushima is. You have to be strong to take on. It's like Semmelweis in Vienna, Austria, with germ theory. So if you're contemporized, I'd say you're worthless. They're not going to prop up anybody who's effective. My fight goes on. Harris knows all about San Onofre. She was paramount in the shutdown of San Onofre. Now, will she stay with that? Well, let's go back to when Trump was elected. You going to talk about Fukushima? I asked him, made Fox News. Like it was on, everybody, my phone started, so you could hear me. You know how loud my voice is. Yes, he doesn't. I asked Mike Lee. I've asked Bernie Sanders. I've asked freaking all my state representatives. I asked Mitt Romney, right? Toto, John Huntsman right there. Do you know what? Yeah, of course. I said, well, why don't you say anything? I've asked them all. Put it online. Think about that. It's the only one. I didn't see anybody else asking their politicians. I mean, here's Martin, and I get it. He's been great up there, the Jim Sam Martin, but he's standing from here to there to widen. And he got buck fever and his knees started off. Well, I get it. It's nerve-wracking. It's hardcore. For what I do, people used to hire me and say, hey, the old abalone cushion, Kevin, you got to fly down here to the hearing. Well, I'll buy you a plane ticket. Donna, not Donna Gilmore and Donna Young, and I love those, and all those people that did all that work. No, the old Donna. She would pay for my plane tickets for all those years. No, you got to come in and do what you do. I'll pay for it. Okay. And there's a reason I was first up, always first up, because I'm effective. I win. Did we get sent up for shutdown? Oh, yeah. A lot of reactors shut down. Now they've circled the wagons, got the bill through. They think everybody forgot. Well, Fukushima isn't over. It's ongoing. It's the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history. We're afraid of nuclear meltdowns. We're afraid until they happen. Now, will she win on Tuesday? I think so. And the reason I think so, I think we would have had a woman president in 2016 if it would have been anybody besides Hillary. I think the country's ready for it. Now, we don't know a whole lot about her, do we? I mean, she was the AG in California for all those years, the prosecutor, and, she's from Oakland, right? Yeah. But her mother, I know a lot about her mom, and I'm a huge fan of her mom. Does that mean that's what she'll be? Well, I don't know. We sure thought Trump would open up this picking on. Trump ran as the counterculture, but he ended up not being the counterculture. I don't know. Maybe they just get a serious talk to. Harris didn't put Moonbeamer Brown and the whole crew who ripped us off, ripped the California tax power, ripped the federal subsidies off, did she? Well, she ran for Senate, and the new AG completely dropped it. Or they do get to talk to. Remember, she took Barbara Boxer's seat. Barbara Boxer resigned. I've worked with Barbara Boxer's office closely on the Senate. Barbara Boxer used to say Fukushima over and over and over and over. Barbara Boxer in the hearings would just go off Fukushima until 2013. They classified it. So did Wyden. Wyden used to talk to me. Wyden went to Fukushima, Japan multiple times. Reported on the Hill to Congress. Much worse than I thought. He won't even talk to me now. Because, and I know this to be true, Army Corps Engineers sent me the freaking emails. Somebody inside there, I put them online, that I've been classified. You think that's a feather? Being a grassroots strong activist, because they will impoverish you. They will do everything to go after you. I mean, you have to really sacrifice everything. Is it worth it? I don't know. But I have sacrificed everything, all my health, all my money. And thank you to the tiny, tiny few who have hung in there with me and supported this grassroots activism. But, I mean, Dorothy Day, the toughest thing about her being a real, true, effective activist is the one she listed her list. She said she struggled with it mightily, was poverty, living in poverty. She said it was the hardest for her. But it just seems like that's the way it is. I mean, I fought it, and I fought it, and I fought it, but it's just my path, my place in time, my reality. And again, violence is not the answer. Whatever happens on Tuesday happens on Tuesday. Let it play out. And we're not going to, I was going to go to DC, but I can tell you the anticipation, you see the plane flights. One-way plane flights are $600, one way. I've never seen, and I always go for the election, but you can see the anticipation. I don't believe that call will be made Tuesday night. I think it will probably take some time like it did last time. And how will that play out? I don't know. But keep yourself calm. We have bigger fish to unfry. Because if you think presidential politics is going to save you, you haven't been paying attention. I got a bridge I'll sell you in Brooklyn. It has to be from the tiny few. You cannot be violent. You have to be anti-violent. You have to be intense. You have to know your subject matter, and you have to stand up. They have hearings for a reason. They have that clock on the wall. And you need to speak intensely. You need to speak freaking strongly. All great activists do. Ask Michelangelo. Ask Jesus Christ. Freaking ask Martin Luther King. These great activists. I mean, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. But I do understand figurative speech versus literal speech. I don't do anything wrong, yet they attack me anyway. I give myself away. I am the foot washer. I freaking give my entire being away. Somebody asked me to come fly here and do this. I always do it. Well, can you come to New York and do this? Can you come here and do this? Can you come to Santa Barbara and do this? Can you come? Yeah. And I always do, even though I have no money. That's the reason they're afraid of me. That's the reason they've classified me. That's the reason they kettle me. And to think about how many people's lives have been compromised because they have kettled Kevin Blanch's historic truth. The new symbol. I was right the entire time. And I can't even talk where I think the demic came from, but I mean, what they've done. So if you're going to take on true grassroots activism, there's the path you have to walk. And there's been a lot of great activists out there. I think about the Million Mass March, and some of those grassroots were so brilliant. So then nonviolent, they tried to hijack it, agent provocateurs. They tried it, the post-ignorant agent provocateurs. I mean, free radicals versus, oh, fuck. Fucking, I don't know what they were up to, but I'm still here. And I'm still effective. And everybody fucking knows it. So we'll see what happens on Tuesday. Will we get the superfecta? Obama covered it up. Trump doubled down. Biden tripled down. None of them said Fukushima worldwide. They're not. Well, Obama did in 2017. That goes on Jimmy Kimmel right before Trump gets elected and says, well, did you ever get calls at 4 o'clock in the morning like Hillary's ads? Of course I did. I was president of the United States. Jimmy Kimmel, well, can you give me an example? Yeah, like when Fukushima happened. Jimmy Kimmel, what's Fukushima? You know, the typhoon. Oh, fuck. Typhoon. Still toting the fucking company line. Fucking Trump. You going to say you're going to open the cover up? Just Google John Trump and his connection with his uncle. He brings it up in Rogan. Rogan didn't bring it. He says, nuclear energy is so clean. Nuclear energy is not clean. It's dirty. It's filthy. Disgusting. Centrifuge process. Freaking all that. It's disgusting. Well, when people think about nuclear energy, they automatically think of Chernobyl. Trump cuts him off and says, no, they think about Fukushima. It's the only time he's ever said it since he became president in 2016. It's the first time he's ever said it. Why didn't he say it when he was president? Will Harris become the superfecta of the Fukushima cover-up? I guess we'll see. This isn't Hillary Clinton running in 2016. The women vote. What's going to put her in the White House? Female vote. Female vote. That's what's going to put her in. And then, I know so many people that call themselves moderate Republicans here in Utah. I know them all. I know all these politicians. Romney, I know personally. I know all these people. I got to tell you what, they're not for Trump. And it's going to come down to a couple hundred rednecks in Pennsylvania. Well, remember in Pennsylvania, the unions told their voters not to vote for Hillary and stay home, and they did. This country is so dogmatic and so branded that this comes down to nothing but turnout. You're not going to really sway many people. And the Electoral College is such a joke. I think it's going to be historic. Didn't women's rights, the right to vote, started here in Utah, Wyoming and Utah? Right here. This is where the whole thing started in 1920. So much. The first state to give women the right to vote was Wyoming and Utah. So here we go, right here, Kevin Blanch. I think it's going to be historic. Now, what she'll do with it, I don't know. We'll see, and anything can happen in these elections. But if you think presidential politics are going to save you, think politicians are going to save you, no, they're not. It has to be grassroots. Those hearings are paramount. You have your YouTube channel. Here I'm ranting, and I'm holding my own camera. Well, I'm full of cancer, almost dead. You don't think that's powerful shit? You don't think that's really powerful, compelling stuff the way I go? Because I know what I'm talking about. I remember Chip, who runs the whole show, he told me, he says, I got to tell you, I've been doing this for 40 years. He's the PR guy for the NRC, for the DOE, the nuclear. He says, those couple rants that I've, He says, I can name off about 3 or 4 of them that you went off and sent it up for. He says, in all my years, that is the most powerful I've ever heard or seen. And I've been doing this for 40 years. Just remember, when I get done doing those rants, I would literally sleep on the beach in a sleeping bag where those people are staying in 450 hotels and nobody was there for me. Really, I mean, Lori tried. Peter tried a little bit when he's in, but they all, I get it. It's a hard fight to stay in. You know, Rich, I get that. Poverty's a motherfucker. You know, chest split open. I have a pacemaker now. My heart ripped out. Stole my safety net. I mean, you think about this path. Long live Freedom Muslim. I love her. Think about her all the time. That was an activist. Fight goes on. Stay tuned. California producing 200% more solar a day than they can use. Long, really good, important video. I really like this video. My dad, I sure miss him. I know that. Monica, I sure miss her. The USS Reagan sailors, I fought for you. I still fight for you. You know, and you can get turned off by my work, but I really don't care. I'm here to win this fight. Just like cancer. You know, I'm a 1%. My doctor says you're not the 1%. You're the 1% of the 1%, Kevin. You're the biggest miracle in my career. Well, Kevin Lynch alive and kicking. How are you alive? Because I fight the fuckers that gave me cancer in a spiritual, beautiful, intense, non-violent. They're the ones that are violent, what they've done to me. So, stay tuned.